All right, let's try this again. I did this once and it was way too long. Get you a beverage. Welcome back to Tech Tip Tuesday. It's been a while since we've done one of these, so I'm going to try and hurry up and run through this. I apologize for the background noise. It is super windy. I'm in the garage. I want to do something to try and get ready for the camping and off-roading season here in Arizona. It's mid-September and it's going to be where the weekends are just getting busy. So if you don't want to be that person where your truck or vehicle, whatever, is in the shop and your friends are out on the trail, here's some tips for you. I'm going to call it P.I.C.O, right? Pico de Gallo. Everybody loves salsa. I know it's not the same. We're going to call it pre-inspection for camping and off-roading or off-roading. So first of all, your truck. I'm going to run down through this list really fast. I'll touch on a couple of key points, but I'll put the full list in the description so you have a better idea and you can use it for yourself. So belts and hoses. So check your belts and hoses. Belt, carry a spare. Great idea always. If not for you, maybe one of your friends needed it. Coolant. Check your coolant level, and also technically you should be changing your coolant every year or two maybe. So if it's been a few years or you can't remember when, it might be time to at least drain it and refill it. Fuses. Check your fuses. Check, make sure you have spares. Steering, suspension, brakes. Steering, suspension, inner and outer tie rod ends, ball joints, those kinds of items that are going to wear on you. Visually inspect them, check them. If they're good but look like they may be starting to show signs of wear, buy spares and keep them with you. If they're worn out but not broken, replace them, keep your old ones and keep them with you in case you break something on the trail. Let's see here. Brakes. Take your brakes apart, look at them, inspect them, clean them. Check to see, do you need new brake pads or not? A set of brake pads will strand you out on the trail. U-joints and differentials, all of those kinds of things. So check them. If they have a grease cert on it, grease it. Check the end plate, check everything like that. U-joints are relatively simple to do yourself, but to try and do it out on a trail is a royal pain. Tires. Even if you're not having any issues with your tires, visually inspect them for the date. There's a DOT code on them. You can look at that date. If they're 6-7 years old, it's time for new tires. So if they have like slashes and stuff in them, but they're not necessarily leaking, maybe you want to think about carrying an extra spare or upgrading two of them and putting those ones for a spare or something of that nature. While you're doing these inspections, try to do them with the tools that you carry on your rig. That way, you're familiar with the tools. You can upgrade if you need to. If you're trying to use a little 1/2-inch ratchet that came in your toolkit to break loose your lug nut and you're not familiar with it, you're going to have a bad day. Maybe it's time to throw a breaker bar or a collapsible bar in your toolkit. Maybe you need a deeper socket than the one you have. Maybe you need an extension. You're not going to know until you need it, and if you're out on a trail and you need it, it's too late. Rust prevention. So if you live in places where you get a lot of rust stuff, bust out the paint, bust out the fluid film, check your stuff. My rock sliders are rusty as heck. It's all surface rust, so I can take a wire wheel to it, respray them real quick, done. Retorque bolts. If you upgraded stuff, maybe you got a suspension lift now and it's been 400 or 500 miles, it's time to retorque everything and check it. You should be periodically checking this stuff anyways. Aftermarket bed racks. I know of one company in particular, I won't name any names, but I'm sure people in the comments can say, there's one company in particular that every single person I know, doesn't matter the type of vehicle, Jeeps, trucks, whatever, every single person I know that has ran one of their bed racks, it has came loose on them. A couple of them have had their tents and stuff fall apart and cause damage to their vehicle. Like I said, I'm not naming any names. I'm not here to bash any companies. Do your research, check what you're doing, check your torque. Bed rack to tent connections, same thing, check the torque. Oil your tent hinges. Use something that's not going to collect a bunch of dust. Gun oils are really good for stuff that's not going to attract dust, but is a good lubricant. A lot of like silicone-based stuff does the same thing. Wax your zippers on your tent. Condition those. Get the dust and stuff out of those. Wash your bedding. Check your mattress. Wash your mattress cover. Look underneath of your mattress. Make sure that you didn't get any mold or anything like that. All of these things are things that you should be checking periodically, but maybe you just forgot about it. Put your tent away. I have not opened my tent in probably 5 or 6 months. I'm guilty. I know the bedding needs to be washed. I know I need to check the mattress. I know I probably need to clean some dust and crap out of there. Let's see here. LEDs, if you're running any sort of LEDs inside your tent, turn them on. Check them before you get out to camp and realize that they're not working. Camp box. A lot of people run camp boxes, multiple boxes, whatever. Unload it. Completely take it apart. Unload it. Check and see if there's stuff in there that you never use or haven't used for a season or two. I know there's stuff that's kind of rare that you use it, but I guarantee you almost everybody has something in their box that they're like, man, I have never used this. Pull it out. If you end up getting on a trip and you need it or thought you need it, that was 1 out of the last 20 trips, right? Place it later. Replace like cleaning sponges, check on your soap and your cooking oil, wash your towels you use to dry your dishes with, clean all your dishes. Even if you clean them after every trip, it's beginning of the season. Pull it all out, throw it all in the dishwasher real quick, clean it all, put it away. Replenish anything as needed. Take your griddle out. Check the O-rings for the propane tanks, clean your griddle, re-season it, make sure that you don't need any grease tins or scrubber pads, any of that kind of stuff. Clean out your glove box, center console, any of that kind of stuff. And again, not just like open the glove box and be like, oh yeah, I don't need these extra napkins, or oh yeah, there's some plasticware in there. No, I'm saying pull everything out of it and then go through it. Oh man, I have 3 screwdrivers in here, because you probably forgot about the other 2 because you never cleaned it out. I couldn't find my hand warmers for like 6 months. Turns out they were in the center console of my truck, buried under some stuff. Couldn't find them. So while your glove box is empty, push the little tabs in, drop it down out of the way, reach in there, change your cabin air filter. Super easy. If you keep stuff inside of your truck, like I keep a little camp axe in there, sharpen it, clean it, oil it up, make sure it's not getting rusty, check your hinges on stuff, check your bolts, check your multi-tools, sharpen those knives. Maybe you want to upgrade something, maybe there's something that you needed last year you never did. Just check all that stuff, right? If you run satellite messengers or anything like that that you haven't used in a while, turn it on. Let it go through any software updates it needs to go through. Let it sync with your phone app. Get all that stuff taken care of. Charge it. Charge your phone or charge your flashlights. Replace batteries. For anything that takes batteries, unless you know for a fact that you've just replaced it, replace them. Batteries are relatively cheap. Just put new ones in it, throw the extras that you're not really sure about in the glove box, right? Or throw the new ones in the glove box and keep the ones in there until they die. Whatever. Check your tools. Everybody carries a tool roll. If you don't, you should. Open it up. Make sure stuff's not rusted. Make sure stuff's not missing. Did your buddy borrow your 10 millimeter and not say anything to you in camp one day and now you don't have your 10 millimeter? Oil stuff, all that kind of stuff. I run like glue tread in my recovery box. I have glue treads. There's glue. There's stuff like that. I live in Arizona. It's 120 degrees in those boxes at least. Check that glue. Make sure it's still glue and not solidified. It's cheap enough to buy another bottle now, but if I get down on the trail and need it, it's going to be real expensive. And then first aid. So everybody should be running a first aid kit. If you're not, I have a link down below. I have an affiliate with My Medic, and they make awesome first aid kits. They even make stuff that you can purchase individual pieces. Get some stuff like that. Update, replace, replenish your first aid kit. Even the cat tourniquets have an expiration date on them. If yours are expired, don't just throw them away. Mark them in some way and use them for training. You can use them for practice, let the kids mess with them, teach your kids how to use them, and that way it's not a big deal. If you actually do need to use them, you're familiar with them. And then while you're making your list of all this stuff and you're walking around, now you can plan for upgrades, right? So if you do a full inspection of your truck and you don't need any suspension steering components, everything's good, great, grand, wonderful, your camp box is set up the way that you've got it, cool. Maybe you can use your budget to throw some spare parts in. I like to carry spare inner and outer tie rod ends. I'm going to throw in some extra ball joints for my control arms because I know they're like 2 years old now and probably starting to get worn, and I'd rather have them with me and I can replace them out on the trail, or maybe I'll swap them out and throw the spares in there. Who knows? Something to think about if you're running aftermarket components like that. What's the lead time on your replacement parts? Is it something that if it's 3, 4, 5 weeks for you to get new ball joints, or you to get new control arm bushings, or you to get a CV axle, right? Something to think about. If you can buy one now and keep it in your spare parts bin, even if you got to keep it at home, at a buddy's house, whatever. If you have it, you don't have to wait that time in order to get the new one. So I know I just ran through a lot of information really fast. Like I said, I'll make a list down in the description. I just want everybody to have fun and be safe out on the trails. Keep some spare parts with you, keep some first aid stuff with you, know how to use your tools, use them a couple times, get familiar. If you have questions, drop a comment. Maybe comment something that you carry that's off the wall that most people don't really think of that would be helpful, right? So let me know. Please like and subscribe. I definitely appreciate everybody. I didn't even mention in our last video, we hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you for everybody that tunes in and watches and stays up to date. It means more to me than you would know. So a lot more content coming. You're gonna see some stuff that like the timelines don't really match. Like I said in one of my previous ones, I've got a bunch of stuff that was filmed like a year ago that I just never got to edit and put out. So some of these videos, like you can see in this one right now, my truck doesn't have any graphics on it. There's nothing on it. It's got a different rack. It's got different parts, like all that stuff. The video that's coming out next week, you can see my truck in the background. It's got the graphics on it, different rack. So yeah, that's an old video filmed previously. There's going to be some stuff bouncing back and forth. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the content. As always, thank you for watching. Let's get out, hit some trails, be responsible, pick up trash, and have fun.